And First Nations leaders are rallying on Parliament Hill against Ottawa's controversial major projects legislation. First Nations leaders say this could trample on their rights and accuse Prime Minister Mark Carney's government of failing to consult with them. The federal minister for Indigenous Services says she's asking Mr. Carney to screen new federal bills for their impact on Indigenous communities. For more on this, we will turn to our correspondent, Wyatt Sharpe, who has been tracking the latest details.
First Nations leaders are rallying on Parliament Hill to denounce Bill C-5, which is Ottawa's major projects legislation that is being seen as a direct threat to Indigenous rights. The bill would empower the federal government to fast-track a number of different infrastructure projects by overriding a number of key protections like the Indian Act and Species at Risk Act after just 2 days of committee hearings with minimal First Nations input. This is, of course, something that you're seeing time and time again, a number of Indigenous voices looking to have more recognition, not only, when cabinet is making decisions, but directly, with the Prime Minister. Justin Trudeau did not have a very strong record on that. Mark Carney certainly not that much stronger as of yet, though perhaps working to improve that. Leaders have warned, though, that this could really amount to, a certain level of economic destruction, if you will, and are pledging really kind of a long summer of protests and potential legal action if some of their concerns are not met. But the Indigenous Services Minister, Mandy Gull-Masti, is really acknowledging a number of these concerns and is urging not only Prime Minister Mark Carney, but also those in other departments and other ministries to look at every piece of legislation from here on with a Indigenous lens, from an Indigenous perspective, questioning how all pieces of legislation, whether it be related to the Department of Labor, the Department of Justice, or, any ministry within the Canadian government, how will a piece of legislation impact various Indigenous communities? An Indigenous lens, if you will, really just ensuring, again, that all draft bills are screened for kind of impacts on treaty rights and their subsequent communities. If Parliament decides to press ahead without meaningful engagement, though, that's kind of, I think, when we are likely to see more growing resistance to this, possible court challenges, certainly something that people have alluded to from First Nations who say that this bill clearly falls short and really fails kind of Canada's duty to consult and, ensure that they feel represented, but also they're saying that it really threatens their independence and their sovereignty.